I stood inside the city's most exclusive bridal boutique, watching my boss, my secret lover Carter Hudson, tenderly kiss the back of another woman's hand. "Chloe, look at this gown. Isn't the lace on the skirt a bit too heavy? I worry it might make the waistline appear less graceful." Lainey stood on the revolving platform like a proud swan. She turned, the large South Sea pearls on her wrist shimmering with an air of rare luxury under the lights. I had flown to Switzerland 3 months ago, staying up all night at an auction to win them back for Carter. Back then, Carter had told me over the phone, "Don't try them on. Pearls are delicate. Someone like you who holds a pen all day has sweaty palms. You'll scratch them." Turns out it wasn't the pearls that were delicate. It was him who thought I wasn't worthy. "They look beautiful on you," I said with a smile, my voice as still as stagnant water. "Carter, look at Chloe's impeccable taste," Lainey murmured sweetly, nestling into his embrace. Carter lifted his head. Those deep eyes that had whispered sweet nothings to me countless late nights now rested on me coldly, devoid of warmth. He patted Lainey reassuringly, then addressed me as if instructing a cleaning staff member. "Chloe, pick a bridesmaid dress too. Take the black one." My heart clenched sharply. "Black?" "Yes." He turned to adjust Lainey's veil with delicate, tender movements. "Black is simple and understated. Don't steal Lainey's spotlight. Your job that day is to manage the proceedings. Make sure no one notices you." I stared at my reflection in the mirror. To accompany them to the bridal fitting, I'd worn my most inconspicuous gray business suit, not even bothering with lipstick. And yet he was afraid those hands had once, countless times late at night after overtime, undone the buttons of my shirt, telling me I was the smartest woman he'd ever met. Now, those same hands are personally selecting a morning gown for me to wear to his wedding. "All right, I'll listen to you." I agreed with a smile. I carried the heavy black gown into the fitting room. In the cramped space, my breathing grew ragged. The woman in the mirror looked deathly pale. My fingers instinctively traced the deep indentation on my right ring finger. It was the shame carved by 7 years. 7 years ago, Carter interviewed me himself. Seated behind his massive desk, sleeves rolled to his forearms, his gaze sharp, he said, "I like smart women. They know what to take and what to leave behind." Back then, I believed I was that special, smart one. The first year, he was a madman in the early stages of his startup, and I was his shadow. In the office at 3 a.m., I brewed countless cups of 65 degrees Celsius coffee for him. When exhausted, he'd pull my hand close, press a kiss to it, and whisper. The second year after securing the company's first funding round, he pinned me against the hood of a luxury car in the basement during the celebration. His breath, heavy with alcohol, brushed my neck as he murmured, "Once I'm firmly established, I'll give you the recognition you deserve." The third year, he gave me a silver ring. No diamond, not even a certificate. Yet, I felt like I owned the world, wearing it for 4 whole years, refusing to take it off even when my fingers swelled. The fourth year, he started traveling frequently. When I tentatively asked about wedding plans, he yelled at me for the first time. "Chloe, cut it out. You know how much pressure I'm under." The 5th year, Lainey was returning to the country. He smoked all night in his office, then coldly told me the next day, "Move to that corner desk in administration. Lainey will be visiting the company. Don't let her miss." Like a cockroach that couldn't see the light, I was completely erased from his life. The 6th year became my lifelong nightmare. Holding the pregnancy test results, my fingers trembling, I handed them to him. Without even glancing at them, he flicked open his lighter and the flames consumed the paper. "Get rid of it," he said, handing me an abortion consent form. "Lainey's father is investing. We can't have rumors of an illegitimate child now." Lying on the operating table, the anesthesia hadn't taken effect yet when the cold instruments pierced my body. I heard him tell his assistant outside the door, "Get her to sign quickly. Don't delay my wedding. Someone like Chloe, any offspring she produces will only drag down my genes. She's not even worth a single strand of Lainey's hair." Through the door, tears streamed into my ears, but I didn't cry out. The 7th year today. In the conference room, he discussed wedding arrangements before all the executives, lavishing every detail on Lainey. As for me, I was merely the most reliable, least likely to cause trouble tool in his words. "Chloe, aren't you dressed yet?" Lainey cooed impatiently outside the door. "Carter's getting restless." I pulled back the curtain and stepped out. The black gown clung tightly to my slender frame, like a silent declaration. The moment Carter saw me, a flicker of astonishment crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by disgust. He approached, lowering his voice to whisper in my ear. "Too revealing. I told you to keep it simple. Don't use this to seduce the guests." "You're embarrassing me." I met his gaze, my eyes icy, yet my tone remained submissive as ever. "Understood, Mr. Carter. On the wedding day, I'll hide myself away. I promise every guest will find it unforgettable." Stepping out of the bridal shop, torrential rain poured down. Carter instructed me to drop Lainey off at her $50 million penthouse first, then take a cab back to the office to finalize the incomplete guest list. "Chloe, Lainey's mentor, Professor Evans, is particular about seating arrangements. You must triple-check everything tonight. I won't tolerate a single flaw at the wedding." Carter said this while carefully wiping a raindrop from the tip of Lainey's shoe. At that moment, I stood at the edge of the rain curtain, cold, damp air seeping. "Okay." I heard my own voice, hollow as if echoing from an abyss. Back at the office, the entire building was deserted, only my workstation still lit by a solitary lamp. I stared at the name Lainey on my computer screen for so long that the letters began to twist like worms, gnawing at my optic nerves. My phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Carter. "That pearl bracelet Lainey said it feels a bit loose. Go to the boutique tomorrow and have the craftsman adjust it. Remember, don't let those people's dirty hands touch the pearls directly." "It's for Lainey." Staring at the message, I suddenly laughed out loud. He forgot that I'd carried those pearls myself for over 10 hours on a flight to save on insurance. Back then, I was burning up with fever, curled up in a corner of first class, and all he sent was, "Pearls can't get damp. Mind the temperature." His concern had never been for me, but for the precious items that adorned his facade. At 11 o'clock at night, due to prolonged exhaustion and the depletion after the miscarriage, a dull ache began in my lower abdomen. Curled up in my chair, cold sweat beaded on my forehead as I trembled, reaching deep into the drawer for that old silver ring. Engraved inside was a sea, what I once believed to be my safe harbor. I truly thought that if I worked hard enough, behaved well enough, he would see me. But the truth was, he called me his most capable assistant only when he needed me to drink for him. Clever Chloe when he needed to vent his desires. And when he stepped into the sunlight, I was the mud he wanted to scrape off immediately. I dialed Carter's number, wanting to tell him how much it hurt. The call connected, but it wasn't his voice that answered. It was Lainey's breathy whispers. "Carter, stop it. Chloe's still working late. What if she calls asking about work?" Then Carter's deep, amused reply. "Who cares? With her personality, work's all she knows. Now don't get distracted." The call ended abruptly. Staring at the blackened screen, the pain in my lower abdomen vanished. Replacing it was an unprecedented, absolute calm. I opened the hidden partition on my computer, where every piece of evidence I collected over the past 7 years of Hudson Group's embezzlement was stored, along with the authentic draft of the Double C Project's core algorithm. "Carter, you once said I was smart. Now I'll show you just how terrifying a smart woman can become when she stops loving." 2 days before the wedding, Carter took me to a dinner hosted by Director Kevin. Director Kevin was the quintessential bloated investor, holding the final multi-million-dollar funding round for Double C. Carter was determined to secure this money. It was his wedding gift to Lainey, getting Hudson Group to announce its IPO on the wedding day. "Chloe, be sharp tonight." At the private room entrance, Carter adjusted my collar, a fleeting emotion I couldn't decipher flashing in his eyes. "Director Kevin likes women who can hold their liquor. Close this deal and I'll promote you." Promote me? To a position farther away, making room for his newlywed life? Inside the room, smoke swirled thickly, stinging my throat until I nearly coughed. The moment Director Kevin saw me, his cloudy eyes glued to my chest. "My Carter, your secretary's getting prettier by the day." He patted the empty seat beside him. Come, little Chloe, sit here. Let's discuss deepening our cooperation. I looked at Carter desperately for help. 5 years ago, another client tried to get me drunk. Back then, Carter had leaped up, blocking me with an arrogant tone. My secretary's allergic to alcohol. I'll drink this one for her. I thought it was a knight in shining armor. Now I realized it was just him marking his territory. Today, Carter merely smiled as he raised his glass, even pouring me a generous shot of high-proof brandy himself. Director Kevin has spoken, Chloe. Why haven't you toasted him yet? Carter's tone was eerily calm. I lifted the glass. The fiery liquid burned its way down my throat like a red-hot knife slicing into my stomach. I downed 3 shots in a row, my vision blurring. Director Kevin's greasy hand slid onto my waist, creeping downward with unchecked boldness, even pinching me provocatively. My body stiffened as a wave of disgust shot up my spine to my scalp. Carter! I ground his name out between clenched teeth. Carter was bent over lighting a cigarette. The blue flame from the lighter illuminated his cold profile. He saw Director Kevin's hand. He even saw Director Kevin trying to pull down the zipper of my black business skirt. But he merely exhaled a smoke ring indifferently, then turned to discuss next year's stock prices with the vice president beside him. He sold me out. For that $100 million to throw his lady the most extravagant wedding in the city, he tossed me like cheap meat onto Director Kevin's plate. Director Kevin, I need to use the restroom. I pushed away those disgusting hands with all my strength and stumbled out of the private room. In the bathroom stall, I vomited until I saw stars. Tears mingled with filth as I stared at my own pathetic reflection in the mirror, then slapped myself hard across the face. Chloe, haven't you given up yet? My phone buzzed with an encrypted message. The sender was Theodore Carter's business nemesis, the man he'd branded a madman. Miss Chloe, have you made your decision? Will the wedding day's headlines be your revenge or his glory? I splashed cold water on my face. The humiliation and agony in my eyes melted away, hardening into a layer of ice. I replied with 2 words: cooperation. Stepping out of the restroom, Carter was waiting at the end of the corridor. He handed me a tissue, his tone tinged with a condescending gentleness. Director Kevin has agreed to sign the contract. Chloe, you did well, truly worthy of being my protégé, or rest now. Don't show up with dark circles tomorrow when we try on the bridesmaid dresses. I took the tissue, but didn't offer him my usual docile smile. Mr. Carter, I said softly, In your entire life, have you ever feared retribution? Carter froze, then burst into laughter as if hearing a joke. He slapped my shoulder, his tone arrogant. Retribution? Chloe, in this city, I am the rule. Watching his confident retreating figure, I silently finished the sentence in my mind. Before that wedding, you were indeed the rule. But after that day, I will be your executioner. On the eve of the wedding, the city breeze carried the salty tang of seawater, a harbinger of the impending storm. I sat in the empty office, the gold-embossed wedding schedule resting on my desk. The final line read, 10 o'clock. Bride and groom exchange rings. I pulled the bridesmaid dress box from the drawer. The black silk satin shimmered with a cold, eerie glow under the light, like a heavy tombstone pressing down on my breath. The door opened and Carter walked in. He wore a pure white bespoke suit, his handsomeness almost unreal. He approached from behind, pulling an exquisite jewelry box from his pocket and handing it to me. Chloe, this is for you. I opened it to find a white gold necklace with a delicate star-shaped pendant. You've worked hard these past 7 years. He leaned forward, resting his hands on my desk. That familiar scent of firwood drifted toward me, once an intoxicating aroma, now it made me queasy. After Lainey and I return from our honeymoon, I'll transfer you to the overseas branch as director. I've already purchased a Riverview apartment for you there. Consider it my hush money or a token of appreciation. He called it a token of appreciation. 7 years of my youth and unformed life, my mother's only keepsake in his eyes. It was worth nothing more than an overseas riverside apartment and a mass-produced necklace. Thank you, Mr. Carter. How thoughtful of you. I lifted my head, offering him the most docile, most professional smile I crafted over these 7 years. My smile seemed to dazzle him. His fingers drifted across my cheek as if by instinct, murmuring softly, "Chloe, your smile. It's devastatingly effective. Too bad you're so ambitious." That kind of ambition doesn't belong close to me. I said nothing, only watched him silently. If you knew what my true ambition was, your hands would probably be shaking right now. After you left, I dialed Theodore's number. "Has everything been sent to the media?" "Rest assured, Miss Chloe." Theodore's laughter carried a ruthless certainty. "By 10 tomorrow morning, it won't just be the city's front page. Wall Street's financial briefings will update simultaneously. Carter's double C plan will become the double C scandal starting tomorrow." I hung up and tossed the old silver ring engraved with a C into the shredder. Amid the shrill grinding, I watched the tiny metal fragments fall into the trash bin. "Carter, you once said I wasn't worthy of your genes. Tomorrow, I'll make you witness firsthand how that pure world you're so proud of crumbles to dust in mere minutes." July 8th. The sky hung heavy and overcast. The French Manners lawn was carpeted with air-freighted white lily of the valley, their scent so potent it nearly suffocated. The city's elite had gathered, countless cameras trained on the couple about to walk down the aisle toward happiness. I stood at the edge of the red carpet in my black bridesmaid dress. Lainey, arm in arm with her father, walked step by step toward Carter at the end of the aisle. She was as ethereal as a celestial being, the pearl bracelet I'd flown halfway across the globe to photograph gleaming with a ghostly pallor in the overcast light. Carter gazed at her, his eyes brimming with tenderness. In that moment, I stood in the shadows, like a forgotten ghost cast aside by the world. "The bride and groom will now exchange rings," the priest's voice echoed across the quiet lawn. Carter took the ring box, his fingertips trembling slightly. He was probably thinking that once he slipped this ring onto her finger, Lainey's father's investment would be secured, and Hudson Group would finally take flight. At that instant, I pressed a button. The large screen, meant to display their love story documentary, flickered. Instead of the sunset over Nice or their smiling faces, it showed page after page of red, shocking bank statements. Alongside them were comparison charts of the Double C Project's core algorithms, with the words "suspected plagiarism" marked in bright red, glaring like a warning. The entire venue fell silent. Carter froze, whipping his head toward the screen. His face drained of color in an instant, turning as white as paper. But the real show was yet to come. Instead of the wedding march, the speakers blared the recording of him and me outside his office door, my one and only trump card, left over 7 years. "Carter, the child in Chloe's womb?" His assistant's voice echoed. "Terminated. A woman of Chloe's background? Her offspring would only taint my bloodline. She's not even worth a strand of Lainey's hair. Tools that develop feelings are tools that need to be discarded." Carter's magnetic, elegant, yet utterly cold voice echoed through the $1 million sound system, reaching every ear in the room with pinpoint precision. Lainey jerked away from Carter's grasp as if electrocuted. You've been with her for 7 years?" Lainey's voice trembled as she pointed at me, then at Carter. "You lied to me, saying she was just a useful machine? You forced her to abort the child?" The guests below erupted in chaos. Lainey's father, the tycoon who had been poised to invest hundreds of millions, charged onto the stage and slapped Carter hard across the face. "This is the spotless background you boasted about? This is the business genius you bragged about? Carter, you had the nerve to deceive my daughter." "No, this isn't true. Someone framed me." Carter lunged at me like a madman, his eyes bloodshot as he clamped his hands around my shoulders. "Chloe, it was you, wasn't it? Only you could have gotten these things. Haven't I treated you well? I gave you a mansion. I gave you money. Why would you destroy me?" I looked at him. Amidst the shrill whispers, before the very guests who had once humiliated me, I finally revealed the most composed, most genuine smile I'd shown in 7 years. "Was I not good to you, Mr. Carter?" I mimicked his tone, whispering softly in his ear loud enough for the nearby media to pick up. "I shielded you from 7 years of drunkenness, Stayed up countless nights for you, even let you push my own child into hell. Was that not good enough? You crazy woman? He raised his hand as if to strike me. Don't move. I pointed toward the police car speeding toward us. The police are here. Project Double C is suspected of severe plagiarism. Add the evidence of you embezzling funds to buy a villa for your white moonlight, and your wedding is over, Carter. The moment the police stormed the venue, Lainey ripped off her veil and ran crying off the lawn. As Carter was pinned to the ground, his suit remained pristine white, yet was now caked in mud from the lawn. He stared at me intently, as if looking at a monster he'd never known. Did you ever love me? He screamed at me before being led away. I looked down at my black bridesmaid dress. I did, I said, the kind of love you gave me using me as a stepping stone. I turned my back on his disarray and walked step by step out of the estate. The torrential rain outside finally began to fall. The rain washed away the scent of perfume on my skin, along with 7 years of my own humiliation and decay. I climbed into Theodore's car. Miss Chloe, you've won big. Theodore handed me a cup of hot cocoa. Where to next? The airport. I scattered the shards of that cheap ring engraved with a C through the car window crack into the roadside drain. I want to go somewhere where gardenias bloom eternally. I didn't look back. The ruins behind me and his wails for the rest of his life were none of my concern. I rolled down the window, letting the downpour wash away the lingering traces of humiliation and decay from my fingertips. From this day forward, the world would know no more of the meek secretary Chloe, and he wasn't even worthy of a place in my memories. Thank you for watching. More dramatic love stories coming. Subscribe if you're into this kind of mess. Tell us what kind of story you would like to watch.